That's a Shame is brought to you by the people who support us over at patreon.com/shamecity.
If you have $1,
$2.
$1 to spare, join us again at patreon.com/shamecity. Please.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello, and welcome to a very, may I say, very spooky episode of That's a Shame.
Don't say like the other ones weren't.
No, what I'm saying is that the others were, the first one was spooky.
Yeah.
Then it was very spooky.
Okay.
We're going very, very spooky because we're closer than we've ever been to Halloween 2019.
It's true.
There's got to be something in Halloween 2019.
No, there's not. I've checked.
Is there not?
Nothing.
Did you have a little look?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Oh, using the old takeaway fork.
Takeaway fork as a hairband, yeah.
That is spooky.
I think Ariel
Think of
does
all
that
that
in
grease in
Little
your hair.
Mermaid.
Yeah, doesn't she call it a dingle hopper?
Don't
though?
talk anymore.
She says it's a dingle
No
hopper
need.
because a big bird told her so.
Yeah, he's a
A
lying
big bird with, I'm going to presume, some sort of mental deficiency told her it was called a dingle
Banged his
hopper.
head on the sea, no doubt.
Yeah, and that's why he talks like that.
Yeah.
And he needn't. I'm
Anyway.
talking slightly weirdly still
Oh, why's that?
because of my big bitten tongue. I did a big bite of the tongue.
Oh, that's an error.
Yeah, now I sort of
Was that to
speak a little
celebrate Halloween?
strangely. I was so spookily hungry that I tried to eat my own tongue.
Eat of your own flesh,
Well,
like in
that's
the
what they
Garden of
say.
Eden.
Yeah. And
Who are you, by the way, tongue fool?
me, I don't have a name.
I'm Isaac, though, so I guess that's the only one that
I've
matters.
just remembered I'm Declan.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you would.
Yeah, I've just
You
remembered.
said that after mine.
I
I
got
kind of
that.
upstage it.
No, I wouldn't
right,
do
it's a
that.
worse name.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't need to.
No.
Look,
We're back.
we are back, and I wouldn't say we're bigger than ever. But
I'm not.
No.
I'm svelte.
But we're certainly something. Have you
Yeah.
got
Certainly something.
a I don't know, comparative in mind?
For what we are?
Yeah, we're not bigger, but we're
We're not bigger. We're better than ever.
Are we?
Yeah. No, we are. It's true. We've honed our skills over this 5-year podcast period.
And here at TAS, we've always been espousers of the idea that bigger doesn't mean better.
Definitely not. No, definitely not. Because there were 2 atomic bombs that went off in
Yeah.
the 40s, and very few people contend that the larger of them, the larger explosion, the larger
Yeah.
death count was better.
No,
In fact, many people would say that
it's probably-
of the 2 atrocities, that one's marginally greater.
certainly in a moral sense.
Yep. And just
Although-
in an infrastructural sense as well.
Aesthetically,
God, it did look good, I bet, if you were there. If it's the last thing you're going to see, if you had to choose between blowing up in a nuclear war and a normal war, I'd go nuclear every time.
I'll see that cloud.
Because, and there's I admit, a small chance, but a chance nonetheless that I'll just get mutant powers.
Yeah.
And I'd be all over that.
You would love that, wouldn't
I'd
you?
be great
It would
with
bring
mutant
some
powers.
much needed variety to your life.
Yeah.
You're stuck in a rut, aren't you?
I'm stuck in a non-mutant rut, and that's why I've been hanging out near the microwave, just lapping up every bit of X-ray I can get my teeth around.
Just
Please,
praying.
God.
Just praying. What would you settle for?
Another limb would be fine to start with.
And you consider that a power, do you?
Depends where it is.
Many
It's the top
consider it
of your
otherwise.
head, no. Although an arm at the top of your head.
Like that guy from Futurama.
Well, like giraffes, I was thinking. That's how they evolved. They started
don't-
off as a horse,
No,
and then they
no.
got an arm on the top of their head. They grew a head on the end of that arm.
and the other
it
one,
came
the other
full
head got
circle.
lost
Well, it's in the
somewhere
middle.
along the line.
Yeah.
Goodness.
It was
I
absorbed
didn't
back
know
into the
that.
body like a twin.
Have you been doing some readings?
Not reading. Well, yeah. YouTube.
Readings of the actual fossil record
It's the
itself.
intellectual kind of YouTube dark web.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
So that's where I spend a lot of my time.
I can't handle that stuff. It goes
You can't
right over
access
my
it.
head.
No, that's fine, but
Yeah.
we'll get you there. We'll get you there.
That'd be good. Yeah, if you could praise it for me.
I can't. No, you
not?
have to watch. There are some ideas so huge that you can only convey them in an hour-long clip art-based text-to-speech vid.
And the giraffe evolution is one
That
of
was
those.
one of them. Yeah.
Because you did a pretty decent job of it.
Thank you very much. But I couldn't
I
just
missing
upload
out
that
a
to
lot of-
YouTube because people would just say, "Well, that's that's the government saying that, probably.
That's fair enough. And that's a bit of art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good because I was doing a segue.
I didn't see that coming, actually.
good,
It was
yeah.
really subtle and good.
Because this week we're going to be talking about some spooky art.
Okay, is there any? Can I just check if there is
Well,
any?
now there's some.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Hansel and Gretel. Yeah.
God,
That gingerbread witch.
you've just sent a chill down the spine. I'd forgotten all about her.
She's an absolute cannibal, isn't she?
Did you see there's a very good subreddit called Phones Are Bad
Okay.
that's just an amalgamation of every boomer cartoon about how kids just look at their phone these days.
It could also be every Edinburgh show, or indeed every piece of theatre ever made in the last
Yeah, exactly.
15 years.
And there was one the other day of the witch from Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, yeah?
And it was her house. And it was just a normal house.
Right.
It just said like, iPads within. And someone, and then it had a caption that was like, the gingerbread walls just weren't cutting it anymore.
Yeah. Don't need it.
I tell you
That's
what,
fucking good.
we live in a society.
Well, I've been lampooned by that meme in a way that I didn't see coming.
and you're going to have to reassess.
It's interesting that although they're not the generation that kind of are the most traditionally online, the boomers, they do make the best memes.
And
Because they are the original meme makers with the kind of political cartoon.
whilst we don't see eye to eye on everything, you've got to hand it to them. Real recognise real.
You've got to take the L sometimes. Am I right? If they get you the big Hansel and Gretel iPad house, I know
What are
I've
you
been
gonna
done.
do?
There's no comeback. There's no
is nothing.
recourse.
There is some spooky art out there, you're right. And, Hansel and Gretel being a fantastic example. However,
Yeah.
what I feel is that it gets a bad rap.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Looks down upon.
And I think there's a couple of reasons for it. One, a lot of it is shit. There is a lot
All
of
that
really
upon
bad.
itself.
Yeah.
Like Hatchet 3, if you've ever seen that film.
No, I've not. Go on.
Don't need to, don't bother.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Very bad.
But I think that it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because if it's not looked down upon,
Yeah.
then it's potentially looked up upon, in which case it's going to get the money.
Okay.
But it doesn't get all the money.
No, not very much.
But it is famed for being able to make money
without much investment.
quite well,
Like
yeah.
the Blair Witch Project cost £4 to make. All they had to hire was one witch.
And it made them
she wasn't even
2
equity.
billion pesos.
They bought that whole forest. The witch is president now.
And so, it in terms of its artistic merit, it gets overlooked, and I think it's really been sidelined. And we've got people like Ari Aster; he's doing his goddamn best,
Mark Kermode, of course. Hats off to him.
Yeah.
He's been,
fighting the good fight.
I was going to say, chomping on the bit of
well,
horror.
you didn't have to, and you shouldn't.
Why is that?
Only because it's outrageous.
Okay. He's been sort of chomping on the horror pipe. The horror teat, I suppose.
He's been chomping on the horror pipe teat.
Yeah, the pipe teat.
Pipe/teat.
Yeah, for decades, trying to get more critical attention for some of the greatest work of art that's ever been done.
Well, exactly. And right at the top of his list of best films is a horror.
The Exorcist. That's
Yeah.
his favourite film of all time.
And it's because it's very, very
It's
good.
excellent. Excellently
Off a very, very good book that you recently read, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what I thought was, look, there's enough of this other art
Oh, yeah, there is.
for
isn't there?
fucking
Marley and Me.
for fucking babies.
Dog's Journey.
Yeah.
That's a trilogy now.
Is it?
Apparently so, I'm told.
There's no need.
I heard some buzz that there's a cinematic
Dogs
universe.
have one journey, and it's from birth to death.
In our, I think, version, it was a paedophile.
Via being a nonce. He had quite the journey from life to death, being murdered in dog prison.
Yeah, God. He
Because
got
even
absolutely
that
shivved up, didn't he?
they
By a
can't
French
be-
bulldog.
They won't be taking it. I thought there's enough of that.
Yeah, there is. Saturated.
But there are limits to our creative powers. Like
There
we
are.
do a lot. We do a lot, don't we?
Well, is that the end of that?
Well, I just want to confirm.
Are you
I just want
talking
your voice.
artistically speaking, or just
I'm just talking.
homeostasis?
I'm just talking. Like
Yeah,
we
we
do
do
loads.
a lot.
But then even specifically artistically,
Yeah.
there's loads.
The output is almost too much.
And so I don't feel like the onus should be on us to necessarily create things from nothing, like the Lord
Nothing
himself.
comes from nothing. Nothing ever could. But somewhere in my youth or childhood, I must have done something good. That's what Maria von Trapp told us in 1912's The Sound of Music. So I
Right.
guess that just came to mind. I'm a bit of a quote enthusiast.
You like that. You like to draw on the words of others, don't you?
especially of Austrian governesses.
And that's going to serve not necessarily that second part.
Cool.
But the rest of it
Imagine
is,
if that had been the
is
basis
gonna
of your future.
is going to serve you well today, because
that's good.
what I've thought is that we could improve upon some pieces of art that, you know, they are good. I'm not saying they're not good. What I'm saying is they're not spooky,
Right.
or they're not, certainly not sufficiently spooky.
Yeah.
And it's going to be our job today to
Inject.
spookify.
So we've got to tap on the forearm
Yeah.
of mainstream media, lamestream media, dare I say. Get our spooky IV
dab on
ready
that one.
and inject a little oxygen bubble of Casper's friendly ghost head straight into those veins.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Absolutely.
So what I've done, I've got our, you might have seen.
I did. I see you've gone for the old school cups this time.
Yeah, first time in the new flat.
Yeah.
New flat, old school. That's what I
I
thought.
like the vibe, and it's green and yellow. Some of the spookiest colours there are because they went
Slime.
for citrus. Oh, yeah, and citrus, which in terms of the mouth, that will make your mouth
Quite
cry.
shocking.
It makes those glands eke out saliva straight into your teeth and mouth.
So one of these cups, the yellow cup,
Okay.
contains some films.
See, looking at it now, I didn't know that
No, and that's the beauty of the cup.
because it very rarely contains anything.
No,
And when it
well, we don't
does
really
liquid,
use them.
mostly.
Yeah.
Sometimes rice.
Um.
Sometimes starch water when I'm making pasta.
Oh,
What do you mean? What's wrong with that?
what do? Do you then just drink it?
No. This is a great little cooking tip for free guys. When you're making pasta and you're going to be combining it with a sauce, and you want to get a silky quality to that sauce, don't you? You want it to adhere,
Yeah.
and not be like pasta and sauce like their neighbours, but not with any throughput between the houses. You want to just withhold a little bit of that starch water when you drain the pasta, only to recombine it when you add the sauce. That's a freebie.
I have heard of that.
And then
I
you just drink the rest of it down.
Oh, now you see, that was the bit I was
To
worried
coat the
about.
throat so that the pasta is well lubricated on
Quick
its
throat
journey
coat.
to mouth town.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's in there. Some film, not starch water.
That's
And
in the
don't
green
go
cup.
drinking what's in there.
Okay, I
'cause
won't.
it will cut you up something awful. You can't even do pills.
I can eat paper though, and I used to. That's a story for another time. Sugar paper only, I should add.
Don't
Anyway, carry on.
don't justify yourself. Now it contains films that aren't very spooky. I'm not saying there's no spookiness.
Yeah, look, I'm not. I wouldn't have thought you'd be attacking
But
these films.
if you were going to list the top 3 or 4 traits of
Yeah.
each, it wouldn't be
Spooky would be
close.
like adjective 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the green cup contains some very specific spooky genres,
Okay.
and what we're going to do is we're going to adapt the film
Right.
to suit the genre.
Okay.
Now there's a small twist to this, which is that I feel like we possibly get sued if we just do this. I don't know how
Why is
fair
that?
use it is.
Why? Who else does this?
No. I mean, in terms of we're just going to basically rework the films that already exist.
Are we making them as well then?
Yeah, we're going to make them. Yeah.
Right. That's a big commitment.
So in order to distinguish them,
Yeah.
you,
Isaac.
Isaac,
Yeah.
for each one, are going to have to invent to fit in the story somewhere
Oh no.
a new character.
Okay. I am
Okay.
inventive when it comes to people.
Exactly.
If we think of some of the roster that I've
just
created.
last week we had a whole host of characters
Did we?
join the show. Some urban legends.
Oh, they were all real though. I thank
yeah.
you for apportioning that positive guilt to me, but no, they were. I can confirm they were all.
I
They were
see.
real. They are out there.
So you're going to have to come up for each one a character. They could be central to the
Yeah.
transition from genre A to genre B,
They could be incidental.
or as we should say, genre.
Yeah, we should say that.
Yeah. Or they could just be incidental somewhere on the side. Or
They could be in a
somewhere
wholly
between.
different story, and in fact, they never interact with the main plot.
No, now that they can't. They do have to be somewhere
There's something in that.
somewhere in
then.
there.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see.
So do you want to like crack on? We'll see how
Why
the first
not?
one
And
goes.
this is a collaborative effort, of course.
Oh yeah, like I'm going to be joining in, but I'm trying to push you a little bit more because
I do have a tendency to stay well within my linguistic comfort zone. And so, yeah, I really appreciate you doing
So
that.
just have a little pick of one of those.
I've picked one, and I'm pleased to say it's Marley and Me.
Yeah,
We
you mentioned
chatted
earlier.
on. No,
I'm very good.
I've got to say, I like to be cultured. You know me. I used to work in culture. I have not seen Marley and Me, I've seen the trailer, and I've intuited that the dog is killed in, I think, the World Trade Center, or something like it.
Well, you say in, going into,
Oh, I see. One of those.
and not through the ground floor. Might I add?
No, I picked up on
No,
the
so-
vibes you're putting down.
So what I'll do a quick summary.
Okay.
Owen Wilson.
Spoilers.
Oh, loads.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson.
Is the dog?
He writes for the newspaper, and his column is shit.
No.
No one reads it.
That's sad, isn't
And
it?
then he gets this naughty fucking dog called
Where from?
Marley, who don't worry about it. I think in
Okay.
the bin. Anyway, Marley just knocks over tables and shits everywhere, and
Marley's chaos.
So he writes his column about Marley the dog.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's very, very good.
Because that's relatable, isn't it? He's probably writing about lofty stuff.
And then the dog is basically his wingman, helps him to get married to Jennifer Aniston.
How does his dog do that?
Well, basically, there was a lot of controversy at the time because, these days,
Well, it's a very PC culture.
it would be Me Too'd into the bin
the dog
because
one.
basically, the whole film, the whole idea, because basically what it was the dog seduced her. And he was like, I'll
make you a star.
He was like, I'll meet you in the bedroom.
Yeah.
I'll see you in there. And then he basically tagged out.
That's
and Owen Wilson.
The original crime.
Owen Wilson went in.
And
she
he
was
does. Owen Wilson has a doggy quality about him,
Yeah,
which
well,
is
this-
why, forgive me, I did think at the beginning.
Yeah, well,
he
this
was
is
Marley.
Well, this is
and
why she was like, oh, okay, because she assumed that the dog had just taken human form.
Yeah.
And they made love, and then he's like,
That
oh
was
no,
love.
that's just my dog. And she's like, oh,
Fuck.
but I suppose if he is your dog, that's close enough. And then they have their own kids,
That's not.
and then the dog
And they're
dies.
half dog kids.
No, they're just not. I can't stress enough that Owen Wilson is just a human.
Okay. But his semen, slightly doggish, maybe.
In appearance or
in its
Genetic.
chromosomal makeup.
no, not even a bit.
They're just slightly furry kids,
And then
perhaps.
they've a decent hair on them.
These kids are so furry, Jen. Wow.
That's terrible.
That's my comedy.
Do that again. And then the dog dies. And
Oh,
they just
fuck.
bury it under a tree.
In suspicious circumstances.
Well,
Well, no,
yeah.
that's what. Okay, I've given away. I'm gonna make the dog die in very suspicious circumstances.
So now what we need is a genre.
Okay, am I picking that one as well?
Yeah, you're the picker.
Okay, my hand's swirling
because
about.
you're the one who's picked them all.
Yeah, well, you're the one who wrote them all. Psychodrama.
So a psychological horror, a thriller of sorts.
Yeah.
With Marley and Me as the basis. Now, talk me through. I mean, what we've described, I should probably say, is not quite what happened in Marley and Me. And what we described is probably slightly closer to the brief
We might already be done. In fact,
But either way, then you'd have to introduce your own character. But talk to me what you think. What could be a darker side?
I'll tell you
to
what I
this?
like is I really like it when a film leads you down the cinematic garden path. You've been there yourself many
All the
times.
time.
What I would like to see is probably the same first hour of this film, because I'm imagining like Act 1 is establishing Owen as this kind of loser, cucked day in day out by the townsfolk. We'll have a very funny scene, and you'll like this.
Okay.
Where he's walking to the grocery store, maybe to a florist. I don't know what he does. I don't know what kind of guy he is. He's walking down the street, and a car goes past and splashes him and covers him in mud and feces as well. So there'll be fecal matter,
Oh God!
and that will establish that Owen is a down on his luck sort of guy.
Do we want to waste a joke that good on a film?
Well, here's the thing. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair
me
enough.
too.
No, I've thought about it, and yeah,
Because I think Owen in particular, he's got a face full of improbable concaves and convex angles as well. You just never see them coming, and every
looks like
angle
he's-
he's illuminated from is a completely different face.
he looks like he's halfway through that Polyjuice potion transformation where it's all like lumpy and dimpled,
Yeah,
and
he's
then it just stopped.
Beautiful, Matt. Very multifaceted, but not in an acting sense. More in the kind of different facets of his
Very one
carved
note
face.
Otherwise,
Great at Night in the Museum, though. Like that goes without saying. That's for me his greatest work, and in fact, it's the only time I've ever seen him on the screen. Here's what I'm thinking then. Act 1, we're not gonna. You know how some films today they're too afraid to kind of lay into characters in the way that they used to.
Yeah.
Where like back in the old days, in a James Bond film, for example, if you had a woman, you'd lay into her. You'd be like, she's dumb. She's a sex object.
she's a bimbo.
Yeah, yes, and they'd properly like rail on her. It would be like someone just like pointing out, you're nothing, like that, but in a funny sort of.
Yeah, someone like pinches her ass in the workplace.
And then she'll probably
It's very
get
funny.
outraged, but we, the
it's like,
audience,
oh,
know,
hello,
oh, calm
hysterical.
down, love. Calm down, pack it in. We're going to do that, but instead of sexually assaulting Owen,
Right.
we act 1, we cannot get enough of just like berating him, and the word cuck is super appropriate because he will be being kind of cucked by fate in a myriad of different and visually entertaining ways. So I'm talking the car splash, yes. I'm talking maybe he goes speed dating and he gets hit by a bus. And the guy's like,
happening.
not fast enough.
That's a real sign of
Yeah.
a loser, that is.
Stuff like that, like he'll buy a balloon and it will sag, like they'll get a helium balloon from a friendly clown. The clown will probably like spray water in his face from its sort of flat
Oh, definitely.
and then Owen's clown will sag and a woman will be like, that's a bit like erectile dysfunction, and then he'll probably feel bad about that.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is a series of more than unfortunate, just inopportune events, a series of cuckeries of fate at Owen, ending in this final kind of angelic almost reveal of is the hound called Marley the dog?
Yes.
Marley the dog's going to come in to his life, and it's at that moment that things are like instantly changed, like it's a salvation. And I understand that's kind of what happens in the film, but what I'm saying is if we emphasize his downfall's perhaps the wrong word, because I want to get across that he was born low, and low
He stayed low.
he in fact has only become
Low he will
he
just-
can't get any lower, but he
he's just
gets
got
more
flatter.
compressed, like really fucking
He's more
pushing
spread
it
out.
down like a very
Along
hot,
the ground, yeah.
a hot bit of rock. And when Marley comes, I want that instantly to be like the same people, that clown who sprayed him, sucking him off in Act 2. Still with the flowery
because
tint.
it's the erectile dysfunction
yeah,
joke kind of
it's
reversed,
a payoff.
inverted,
That's
yeah.
what we call a payoff.
He rides a bus through the speed dating,
Kills them all, yeah.
dozens.
Actually, he kills women only, but then he reverses back and he says, "Wow, this one's for the Chads," and then he rolls
Does
over
he?
them. Yeah, that'll be good as well.
I'll be honest. I mean, I'm sure you've got something planned for me.
I have.
It doesn't sound psychodrama.
No, you're right. it
Yeah,
doesn't.
because at the moment it sounds like a very believable story of an incel who goes nuts and kills a bunch of women.
And Chads.
Sorry,
fucking
and
come at me
Chaz.
with
Yeah.
that. So Marley, who can talk, I should have mentioned.
Oh, well, that's a big leap already. I think.
We're doing what I call ratatouilleizing the film. Let me see if there's a better word for that. Ratatifying.
Rotaticizing.
Yeah, the Marley character to become less of a what I imagine. Like, again, I have not seen the property, and I will not read the script in advance of us writing our own. That's just how I prefer to operate.
Of course.
Because otherwise, people will always be saying, "Oh, you copied." No, I didn't copy it. This is original. DD stuff.
Just bear in mind,
Yeah.
your own character has to come in here at some point. As
Oh,
well.
absolutely, they will.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Marley can talk, can't cook, but can write to outpen any of the great authors from our time. I'm talking, Matthew, I'm talking Mark, I'm talking Luke and John, and I was taking them together.
All of them.
He could take them both on at once in a kind of
Both.
Nacho Libre wrestling match. Wow. Of the pen, of course, of the pen. So Marley comes into his life, and
So I'm just going to write down here. I just had an idea
Yeah.
for the tagline could be the pen is mightier than the paw.
it's not though, because it will turn out that the dog's paw is
He's actually
much
vicious.
mightier. Let me get to
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
what starts off is this just idyllic, I can see me loving no, but they're skipping through the fields together. They're playing dog fetch, all those dog games that you play, dog catch, dog fetch. They're eating dog biscuits together. They're sharing wine. He gets Marley really drunk one night, and they wake up with a hangover. And it's all there's a lot of implied,
but nothing on
stated.
screen.
No. This is art house.
Yeah.
There's the audio. It's like in that scene in Her where the camera goes off.
Yeah.
And he voice sexes
But he
the
just
robo
wanks over the phone.
into his Google Home.
Yeah.
Clogs up the speaker. It's gross, isn't it? And then
Is that why ours is shit? What have you been doing?
no,
Is that why
that's
she
not
gets
even my one,
everything
that's
wrong?
the communal one. So if anyone's wanked over that, it's a house guest. I've got one in my own room
God.
that I bother.
And she has seen some things.
What I want to capture is the moment where everything's going so well. And yes, its columns taken off because Marley is basically starts off by just leaning in and punching up Owen's kind of lame prose and sort of outdated angles. I think our own character is going to be a kind of Bernard Matthews from the humour perspective. Do I mean Bernard Matthews? He's the turkey
he does
man.
turkey, yeah. Well,
I mean Bernard Manning.
oh, I see.
Bernard Matthews style.
He's a fucking racist columnist.
Yeah, but like he's a kind of white man in Trump's America where he thinks like everything is going against him.
Right.
And he's railing against a machine that ultimately exists to serve him. And in that sense is very unlikable. And I want the audience to be torn. Owen is a very sympathetic man. He's got very sympathetic sort of hound dog
hard
eyes.
to villainize.
And yet, through the actions of the film, as we see him increasing in his frustration, both mental, emotional, and yes, sexual, throughout that opening hour, possibly hour and a half, depending on. Do you think we could get a 4-hour runtime for this?
Yeah. Well, we do it in 2 parts.
Nice, yeah. 2 Halloweens in a row. We'll be dominating the box office in that regard. I want people to like Owen, but to like, oh, it's a difficult kind of feeling. Like I want the best for him, but I can't support these actions he's taking. And then when Marley comes, he redefines that. Owen starts to hang out with a more diverse crowd in the most literal sense. His neighbour, who he previously, you know that bit in which film is it? Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray's always bumping into that friend of his who's become an insurance broker or something. And he's just like, fuck off, Ned, which Ned's going to be an Asian woman. And he's not called Ned because it's an Asian woman. So she can be called whatever we want, and we'll get a focus group in for that. And because of his innate kind of white supremacy at the start of the film, Owen has long abandoned her. But she's a kindly woman. She's just moved to the area. She brings a basket of flowers over or muffins.
Is she your...
She's your
new character?
She could be. We'll see. We'll see how much I like her. And
she's not in the original.
Owen ignores this lady. We'll call her Flower Lady for now because she brings flowers and muffins. And he chucks those flowers out. Marley is going to drag them out of the bin. Yes, they'll be rotted, but the gesture's still there. The gesture, the metaphor is, can we salvage from what we've thrown away, these parts of ourselves that we chisel off or allow to be chiseled off by a cruel and ultimately oppressive society from the perspective of Owen, white supremacist Wilson? Don't sue us for that. It's just the character. Marley, who I've got a little thing here. I think Marley should be a mutt, and we should really make much of the idea that he represents in many ways the kind of boiling pot that Americans like to pretend their country is, of diversity and of inclusivity, of like a post-racial landscape.
He's a post-racial hound.
Yeah, and in fact that could be, we could go so far as to call him Marley the post-racial. I don't know. We'll see.
Marley
if
the
it will fit
post-racial hound.
He brings those flowers
and
back.
And is that every time he's referred to?
And Owen's going to weep. And that scene's going to be 7 to 9 minutes long of Owen. He's going to weep, not just from the eyes, but from every pore. There's going to be kind of salt tears coming out. And he's going to smash up his Trump altar. He's going to smash up his typewriter, because it's very wanky to use a typewriter in 2019. And it is much better to use a word processor. And that represents him kind of letting go of the past, letting go of a time where he was beholden to these values that he has been, to some extent duped, but to some extent allowed himself to be taken in by an idealised vision of the 1950s, where everyone clacked away on typewriters and whites were on the top. That's the way it was, isn't it? And he does yearn for those times until Marley reminds him not to. The column takes off. Owen kind of repents in public. There's going to be a scene where, you know, that bit at the end of Hunchback of Notre Dame where a little child embraces Quasimodo and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's what a scene. And then Paul Candel comes and sings impossibly high.
Yeah.
Really too high. We're going to have a moment like that where the Asian neighbour, as well as a whole host of characters that Owen has previously fucked over Scrooge style, embrace him in the community. And the dog will be in the background. And what people will come to notice later is that we use a kind of, what's that technique called, where you have two things in focus at once? It's like it's a really cool type of shot that they did in Toy Story 4. I watched a whole video about it. Yeah, Owen will be in the foreground and he'll be celebrating and our hearts will be elated. But the dog in the background is shaking his head because he doesn't like that Owen is getting all the praise. And here's where the psychological drama begins. The next hour and a half of the film is the dog slowly taking over Owen's life. I'll do the column this week. It's fine. You go out with your new diverse roster of neighbours and pals.
Yeah.
I'll do it. It's fine. We'll put your name on it, of course, because I'm a dog. No one would believe I'd writ it. Mm-hmm. The dog says writ. I don't know why. That's just a character thing. And so the dog writes it. The dog hands it in, emails it, I suppose. Goes down a storm, best column they've had yet. Same thing happens next week. The dog gets a promotion that he doesn't tell Owen about, and that's going to be kind of a turning point where the letter comes through or the email, and the dog just drags it into spam, drags it into like the promotions folder buried under like endless gym memberships.
It's the first definitive sign of betrayal that we get.
Yeah, and I don't want
from what should be man's best friend.
That's going to be a huge part of Owen's going to do a really good speech where he says, "You should have been man's best friend," and the dog says, "Well, I'm not." And isn't that the spookiest thing?
Suck it, Owen.
But yeah, I want that for me, that scene, importantly, there'll be no music. It'll be shot like a David Fincher Social Network sort of thing, where it's just like him, the dog up at night, like typing away, wow, 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 coming up. That's how he kind of comes up with ideas.
He doesn't speak eloquently when he writes.
No, because he's
on the one
frothing
at a time.
at the gams to just get the prose out.
Perhaps a kind of bit of a rabid imagery.
That's nice. A bit of Cujo, bit of Cujo callback.
Yeah.
That would be good. And the email will come in and the dog is like not noticing because he's focused too much on his writing. And then he's like, and he clicks. And I want that to be just a moment of, I don't want to suggest to the audience that the dog is like, at this point, plotting anything deadly.
No, of course not.
I want it to just be a series of small decisions which build up to an inevitable murder on the part of the dog of Owen. And this is where I think you're going to like this. This is where the psycho drama part comes in. I'm borrowing, of course, from Hitchcock's 2017 classic Psycho, where
I don't know.
There's this guy, Norman, and his mum, Mrs. Bates.
He sounds like a real beta.
Yeah.
He sounds like a real beta.
That's funny because his surname is Bates. So it's like playing on the whole idea of incels.
That's too on the nose.
Yeah. And anyway, long story short, Norman is his skeletal mum, and that's the end. So he's his own skeletal mum. In the same way, Marley is going to start. You stay home today, Owen. I'll go out. I'll get the shopping. What? Hey, wow, Marley, what you doing there? Marley's cutting his own hair into a kind of Owen Wilson wig. But Marley, what are you doing this time? Marley's just like studying Owen's face, getting like a 3D scan of it, putting on one of those masks from Mission
Impossible. I say, like, all this time in a kind of like Dorian Gray-esque that. It's like one.
The dog's getting bigger and more manly,
and Owen's like on all fours now.
There's going to be a moment, and if I were to pitch this first without all the backstory, you'd say this is absurd. This would never happen. The audience would walk out. There will be a moment where they're going to bed. They've been watching a film together, or maybe celebrating with a glass of champagne the success of their latest. The column goes viral. They get picked up by national press. Owen gets offered a job, or Marley, for like the New Yorker, something like that. It's his dream. And that night, they're both going off to their bedroom that they share. Marley gets in the bed. Owen just goes into the basket. And we're not going to mention that. It's not going to be said through dialogue. It's just going to become, by that point in the film, it will just seem natural. It's like, that's the relationship. The balance of power. It's like, these things can happen, can't they? If you were to gaslight someone so slowly, like that basketball player who killed himself after the letterbox became too high. The slow, incremental water torture, drip, drip, drip erosion of Owen's previously manifest confidence and self-belief is just it's gonna be seamless, but it's gonna be there.
What about what I'm thinking here is if we have a cold open to the film
Uh-huh.
where there's no visual, it's like just a black screen, and all we hear is the audio
Yeah.
from that night of them going to bed, and it's like Owen like, oh, like here boy,
Wow,
like
wow.
into bed, like here we go, and the dog's like, yeah, sure, Owen, like up to bed sounds good. And then there's like the ruffling of covers, and there's like the sound of someone getting comfortable in the doggy bed, and then he's like, good night, Marley. And I was like,
Good night, me.
good night.
That's his name in the
His
film.
name,
by
me.
the way.
It's like, good night, me. And it's all like, and then it's red lettering on the black,
Yeah.
Marley and me.
Yeah.
And then it's not until 3 hours later
you
that we
realise-
realise how perverse that was.
And 2 years, of course, because the first film, now that I think about it, actually none of this happens. The first film,
it. First film's just called Me.
It's shot. Yeah, the last shot will be the dog arriving down, and I'm going to use a bit of biblical imagery here. Stay with me. Coming down the river in a basket.
Oh, yeah. And now I do want to say, we've got quite a few more of these to get through, so we should probably wrap up.
Sorry,
Now
I'm in love with this cinematic
Well,
project.
it's going
film.
to happen.
It's
let's
fucking
just say.
good.
But what you mentioned a murder.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the Asian lady from next door is killed because he wants to eat her.
Who?
Well, who indeed?
Marley or me?
That's the question. We don't know.
And we never know. Bite marks, but ambiguous.
Yeah. I've also got another moment. Like, I haven't worked that out. I'll be perfectly honest. I haven't quite worked out why that happens. But I do like the idea that Owen's going to he's going to graduate to the dog cage.
Hang on, haven't you just remade White Dog?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's very foolish.
Sure, yeah.
Homage is one thing, but let's not say remake at this stage. You've heard my creative input.
Yeah, are we going to get Burr Lives in?
He's been very dead for literally 100 years.
I'm sure
I'm
he can still
certain.
do it.
One thing that I want is a scene where eventually, and perhaps this is our final scene, you know the last scene in The Usual Suspects? It's just...
Kobayashi mug.
Yeah. Well, no, actually beyond that, where he's just walking, he changes to this normal walk from the one that he was affecting. I want something like that, but it's... Oh, maybe this is a better comparison. Is it the end of Silence of the Lambs where it's a shot of him just walking into the distance forever?
yeah.
I want that, but the other way. The dog's coming towards the camera. We're in the town. Maybe it's like, I don't know, what's a nice town day in America? President's Day
Labor
or something.
Day.
Labor Day. Everyone's out having barbecues in like the town square, the nice common. And the shot is of like some really cute family just hanging out, having a picnic, and there's like a fair going. It's beautiful, and there's a sort of hill in the background, and we start to be aware that the dog's walking towards them, but the music's like da da dum 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 dum, and then you hear a scream, but it's all carry on like that's kind of in the distance, and the dog's still approaching, and as it gets closer, we can see there's like some red like stuff in its weird dog jowls, and basically it's wearing Owen Wilson's face. And it comes right up to the camera, cut to black. Marley and me will continue. And I'm fucking great. To be fair, like, this is a great film.
That's a tour de force.
It's really
That's
good.
your magnum opus.
Who are we going to get to play the dog?
Well, I don't
Andy
know.
Serkis.
Now, I do need to, just for my notes, I just need to know who. So the Asian lady next door, is that
Yeah,
your...
she is the character. And she's kind of a B-plot character, and I haven't fleshed her out enough. But she's going to be...
two-dimensional at the moment.
She is a bit two-dimensional. So all I'll say is she's going to be a very kindly figure. She's probably the only person that can tolerate Owen in the beginning of the film because she's just like trying to see the best in him. Maybe she's instrumental in getting him and Marley connected. Maybe she works at a shelter because that would go in with her.
Put Marley in the
kindly-
basket and pushed it down the river.
Yeah, because she knows that Owen's too proud to accept a dog from a non-white source. So she's like, what's the whitest thing? Well, the river.
I like it.
And
I
then...
think it's good.
Yeah, but she is going to die as well, and I we need to flesh that out in a big way. But I do want it to be the subtext that it's for cannibalistic reasons.
Okay. I think that's good.
Good.
Let's not push that too far now because otherwise
No,
you
there
don't
will
want to
be
ruin a
nothing
good
else
idea.
to work
Exactly.
out later. Yeah.
Let's
Fuck,
do...
I feel creatively spent.
Oh, you better not because we've got film 2
right.
to do.
I'll drink a bit more IKEA beer. Whatever's next?
It's a new film. Go on.
Oh,
Put your big fingers in there.
I just want to say, like, we can't. I did exhaust myself a little with that.
That's fine. We can blitzkrieg some of these.
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo, subtitle The Fish Film. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, no, that's a good way. And what genre is Finding Nemo
Well,
going
for me,
to be?
It's likely going to be a total body horror.
Oh, well, okay. So Finding Nemo, the story of a semi-disabled
plucky
fish who gets fucking lost. He gets nabbed, doesn't he, by a big dentist. And his dad,
Marlin.
yeah, he pairs up with famous friend of the war criminals, Ellen DeGeneres,
Dory.
to like swim across the ocean. They meet all manner of creatures, great and
Who's some
small.
of your faves? Bruce.
No, I don't like Bruce. I despise Bruce.
Why's that?
I think he's too big.
To be allowed, too big to fail. The seagull, you like them?
No, I like
Mine.
I like the turtle.
He's great. And in the Disney World exclusive Finding Nemo musical,
It's horrific.
an incredible song.
It's a horrible
he sings.
sight to behold.
Really a good song. It's been stuck in my head for years.
I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm saying that the visage of it,
Well, it's beautiful, yeah.
terrible. So a body horror element. Now, I don't, I feel like we're bordering already on being very un-PC here because Nemo has his little fin.
Yeah. No, I think that's okay.
And it's okay to...
representation.
Yeah, but we're not saying that that's the body horror, are we?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
The body horror is going to be, for me, a reframing of the narrative to focus primarily on the dentist. And
Okay.
He's finding Nemo because he's can only get hard for dissected fish.
Right.
So maybe that could be an avenue. And then Nemo, I don't know, he'll get in his mouth, he'll get in his gob
Right.
on purpose while he's asleep and maybe swallow himself down Vor style. I don't want anyone getting off on this, by the way. If you're masturbating,
But the thing is,
that's
you raise a valid point, which is there's an awful lot of fish being swallowed imagery in Finding Nemo already.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's the bit where they're inside the whale.
Yeah.
And there's the bit where they're in the pelican's like gullet.
Yeah, to be a fish is
sliding
to
down.
be seconds away from being swallowed any moment.
Yeah,
We
and
learnt that in all kinds of films. Spy Kids.
with that mini beast tube, you learned that,
Yep.
did you? Yeah.
Star Wars, they've got that bit where they're going to the Jar Jar Binks city and everything's just swallowing each other. It's Vor
There's
City.
the big Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like
Are you
that
not?
thing.
Are you not on board?
No, it's despicable. But yeah, the Vor angle is for me where we're gonna get that hot money ticket and maybe get Can on board. I think it becomes an internal Osmosis Jones tale of Nemo. You know all the stuff in the fish tank where they've got that like pufferfish and the starfish, and they're all trying to get him to swim through the filtration or something like that to
Yeah,
get
exactly.
out. Picture that, but that's all happening in a stomach of a dentist.
So, sorry, I thought that he got off on dissected fish, but now it seems it's on swallowing fish whole, live.
No, this is the thing. The ones the only way to escape dissection
jump
is
straight
to go
down his
straight
gob.
down his big gob and hope that he shits into the sea.
Fingers crossed.
Which, weirdly, he does more often than you think. Because I imagine most people who wear a wet or dry suit have shattered in it.
Well, they
just to
must
see
have
what
done.
happens. Because people are truly filth.
People are awful.
Yeah.
So Marlin and Dory, because Nemo, he's a tiny fish. He's a baby clown.
Yeah.
And he's not even got the full number of fins. So he's
He
even
does have a
smaller
full
than.
number. It's just
Well,
the
he's-
one smaller than usual.
He's
So he can go in diagonal.
2.5. So he's him getting down there. That's easy. He waits for the dentist to sort of lean over, getting all hot and heavy,
Yeah.
and he just jumps.
I can kind of see where you're going with this.
Marlon and Dory. Anyone else is hoping
Let me
to
preempt this.
find Nemo?
I've got a fucking good solution for you.
It's not to do with your new character you're
It
introducing.
is
Oh
to do
no,
with
go
the
on.
new character, not as new as you'd think.
Okay.
Because they're going to enlist by way of a complex series of signs and signifiers
Mm-hmm.
in which they're able to communicate with humans. With one
obviously.
human in particular. They're going to enlist the services of a friendly, kindly even, Asian restaurateur. It's the same actress from Marley and Me, in which, in order to help, Nemo's plight is explained to her. She knows he's got, days to live there in the gullet of this constipated sailor. I mean, dentist. Well, he's both. She's going to trick him and I haven't quite worked out all the machinations just yet. But it's going
So
to be very
she's
good.
an evil.
No,
she's now
she's
bad.
good. Because we're on the
tricking.
fish's side. The dentist is
Oh,
the
she's going to
antagonist.
trick the dentist.
Yeah, she's going
I
to
see.
trick the dentist into pretending that swallowing all these raw live fish, including but not exclusively puffer fish, starfish, that one with the
He's
kind of
going
grizzle.
to swallow
He's going
a
to swallow them
pufferfish
whole.
whole.
because this dentist, like all dentists, he's all about the show. He doesn't care how good your teeth are in terms of the enamel content. All he cares about is that white Simon Cowell gleam. So it's a film about getting behind or exploiting superficiality in Australian culture, taking its cues, of course, from the great bastard of them all, corporate America. Am I right? Can I get a high five?
Yes, you
Showed
can.
them. And it's about how can we use this? Because if they were to pretend, they were to manufacture a situation where all these cool celebs, we've got Cara Delevingne, we've got Lenny Henry, they're all swallowing
Wow.
fish down left, right, and centre. Are you telling me that the dentist is going to watch Lenny Henry swallow a fugu fish and not be straight in the line saying
Lenny
me,
Henry of
me
This
also?
Is the TV Now fame.
Yeah, I think everyone would be doing it. And
I'm
once that
thinking we can
happens-
get some very cool body horror out of maybe the finale, like just after he's shat Nemo out into the sea.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's like, right, it's a 1 out, 1 in system. I've got to find what's my most exotic one yet. And they sort of like push the pufferfish to the front, and he goes and drops it down his gut, and then it expands in his throat.
That'd be hot.
Spikes coming out.
Yeah.
There's blood pouring everywhere.
That's the last
that's-
8 minutes because
Yeah.
one thing that I feel Finding Nemo didn't explore enough is how long it takes to die.
Yeah. How long it takes.
Because sometimes it's ages.
Yeah, and just all of the the shallow hope that
Yeah.
you have of thinking maybe
There's
you
a
will
doctor.
live.
Lenny Henry's done no CPR. It's honestly useless when your neck has been impaled by the poisonous puffer fish.
In fact, he's blowing down his throat. It's only expanding the fish
It's like a big
even
red
bigger.
fountain.
Now, the body horror. I know that you're not necessarily a fan yourself.
I actually
but
do.
The body horror element is now because you've made, and forgive me here for my critique. You've made defecation a real kind of central theme to the film. How much screen time specifically is going to be devoted to watching this 3D animated dentist shit out fish?
First of all, it's live action. I want to make that crystal clear.
I see.
Second of all, you can get away with a lot from an internal perspective. We were shown an MRI of people fucking in like year 5 because, it's science. But I'm here to say, A, it's not, and B, if we are...
Was that your awakening?
If we're a first-person Nemo perspective during the shatter,
Right.
then that's fine. It could be any tube.
We're just doing it. Right, but importantly, it's not. And you know,
He's not gonna
animated, yes, but live action. I feel like we're gonna know when you crest that
Yeah, that
tube
final sphincter.
and you see the cheeks either side. It doesn't leave an awful lot to the imagination.
and
does
why
it?
should it?
And you know, it's not just Nemo, is it? That's
Oh,
coming
God,
out.
no. The starfish going to be like a shuriken whizzing out of there and take someone's eye out.
And you know, what's the implication of seeing it from his point of view? Are we doing a sort of Freudian birth?
It is what it would be. Finding Nemo is about him finding himself.
Right.
Reborn through the anus of a
Okay,
dentist.
and is the Asian lady there?
She's holding his legs up in stirrups.
By the sea.
Straight onto the... It's like a turtle
It
giving
really
birth.
is a lawless place, Australia.
Crazy.
Right, so if that's Finding Nemo,
That's
the
that.
body horror,
Yeah.
and your own character was again kind
It's
of
the same. Can you just put same lady?
a two-dimensional Asian lady.
She's not... I can't stress this enough. She's going to have a huge backstory. She's got the most
Helps.
lines.
Dentist. Shit out fish.
No, first she helps him ingest
Now, if
them.
that's not representation, if that's not 2 fingers to the Academy, I frankly don't know what is.
Also, I did say she was a high-powered restaurant executive or something, didn't I?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, well, that's
Anyway.
good.
Oh, number 3. Let's dive right in. I feel like there's no need to
I've
explore
taken
that
2
one
by
any further.
accident.
Go on.
Okay, this is the film. It's Shrek. Film movie
Okay.
Shrek.
Film movie
I
Shrek.
feel sort of sad that we didn't get that for body horror, to be honest, because that lends itself well.
Well, you don't want it to be too easy, do you?
Haunted House.
Oh.
I've done a lot of creating so far. I want to see how you handle having the ball thrown back in your cot. I know you like Shrek. I know you like houses. Mm-hmm. I know you're so on hauntings.
Yeah, a bit of this, bit of that.
You've had a bad experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we both have.
God, yeah.
So, Shrek is not a tale that necessarily lends itself initially to adapting to be inside a single haunted house because, as we remember from the original, it's largely outside.
He doesn't have a house.
No, he does have a house.
It's a shack.
It's a home.
Look, I'm not querying that. He can make a shack a home.
It's a swamp.
Yeah, it's a swamp.
It is a swamp, but it's
a bog.
Importantly, it's his swamp, and it's really about the journey.
Yeah.
There and back, very sort of Hobbit derived idea, but about the journey of the heart also.
Yeah, but you're right. It naturally does require a lot of ground being covered because the idea that he has to travel to the castle and back should be a huge voyage of discovery. So it's difficult off the bat.
What I'm thinking is this, that maybe the idea is more psychological, kind of harking back to of course Marley and Me, but I'm thinking kind of Haunting of Hill House, Shirley Jackson, which we've discussed before on the show, in Dr. Marrow's Haunted Circle.
Yeah, it's a great episode. And you can watch a nice video that we made on our YouTube channel.
Unfilmed Assam.
Yeah, Shame City it's called, our YouTube channel.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's not private anymore, so you can go. In the Haunting of Hill House, all these people go to this place that's an enormous manor and it's supposedly haunted, but there's a lot of question left at the end. Was it haunted? Was it not? And it's more about the experience of these people in the house.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe instead of the princess being far away, the spell instead is that she needs to be earned.
Okay, now, I don't feel good about that because that seems like we're commodifying.
Right, but that's all part of the horror here. That's part of the curse.
Okay.
Is that it
it's
degrades
a very backwards,
her.
regressive curse.
Yeah.
From a backwards regressive
there aren't a lot
witch.
of progressive ones.
No,
because they're all like, you've got to kiss the pretty girl who's unconscious to wake her up.
Yeah, that's not a good curse.
No, and ours is slightly better than that.
Okay.
And what it is that Shrek has to spend a night in the haunted house. And if he is able to do that until dawn, then she will be there.
Okay.
But here's the twist. She's already there. But of course it's nighttime.
Right.
So she's in ogre form.
Okay.
And so he thinks he's being haunted by the ghost of his own ogre mum.
Oh, his ogre mum.
And because he's seen a picture of her as Fiona, as human,
the woman.
and he thinks like, I'll wait for. But then he sees kind of like wandering around this green, and it reminds him of his mum. And of course he's conflicting them because he is horny for her.
He's horny for his mum.
He's horny for
Is
the
that
ghost.
an ogre thing?
No, he's horny for this ghost.
Okay.
And then he sort of realizes that it reminds him of his mum.
Yeah. And that would be sexually confusing.
Well, exact for anyone.
There'll be a masturbation scene.
Granted.
Doubtless.
How else is he going to, while away the hours?
Yeah, one angle that I think Shrek is always screaming at us about as the viewer is this idea of like interspecies fucking. And I wonder if there's something in the idea that some of the ghosts and ghouls, the spooks and spectres, are the kind of failed to carry to term fetuses of some of these weird forest experiments, donkey and dragon, ogre and human, gingerbread man and wolf. These sort of weird, like, they never wanted to be alive, but they were birthed into the spirit realm straight away. And maybe that could come back to haunt Shrek. So
perhaps it's this idea of that regression of all their lineage, because they're all a horrific amalgamation, all these fairy tale creatures of man and beast, of sort of sentient animal or sentient cake. And maybe it's something about this house that just makes everyone horny as hell for whoever happens to be closest. And, you know...
It can't end well.
Well, it can't.
No.
And perhaps it's... If the love making that goes into the, you know, this life building process, if it can't last the night, then I'm afraid the spawn may not last the day either. But if you can, then you give birth to a new fairy tale, because that's what Shrek was about, you know.
Birthing fairy tales.
Creating a new fairy tale from
like
the old.
redefining your own story in the context of a very severely preordained
plot. And again, we can't push this angle, you know, enough. They are all fucking, like, the whole
Non-stop.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's art house fucking, like we said before, but it is relentless.
Sometimes that's worse, I find.
Yeah.
Because they're less afraid to really show the
It's
whole.
stark. Yeah. And it's not dark. It's very well lit.
Yeah. And
Bright
Pinocchio's
neon.
there. Pinocchio's telling as many lies as he can to get it up. So he can just be inserting.
He's fucking
that
people from
left,
down the
right,
corridor.
centre, like a snooker cue. God, it's foul.
He's just repeating, "I'm not a perv. I'm not a perv," over and
real
over and over and over.
One thing that I like the idea of here is Shrek was all about interrogating fairy tales and kind of the assumptions that we have about how they work. The beautiful princess trapped in a tower turns out to be kind of aesthetically hideous to the normal person, but perfect for our hero Shrek. Pinocchio, he's a sex pervert, as we've just established and already knew in our heart of hearts.
And in the original, that is, you know, because he is literally built by someone even more perverse
tries
than
to
he.
fuck puppets.
Well, he builds a puppet so it will become and prays that it will become a real boy.
And he has so many clocks, you may remember, in his house because every time
He
one
needs
of
to
them
know
goes
what
off,
the
he
time
says
is
it's
everywhere in
puppet fucking time.
He needs to know exactly what time it is in every country where there's Interpol,
Yeah,
so that he can
really
escape.
bad. Geppetto won't be allowed in our piece.
No, he will
He's
not
been
be.
blacklisted.
Yeah.
But what I like is what I want to take something from Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine's great work, Into the Woods, where of course you remember there's this like metatextuality where the play is narrated by a character called narrator, who also doubles another role of import that we can maybe introduce into ours. But at a certain point in the narrative, when things start going wrong, the narrator, who represents, I suppose, the kind of orthodox notion of fairy tale schema, is drawn into and then sacrificed as part of the narrative. He's thrown to the giant. They're like, this guy's just been chatting. Maybe if we get rid of him, it's about seizing control of your own destiny. I wonder if what's missing from this haunted Shrek tale is a kind of oracle narrator figure. I'm thinking the hotelier for where this happens. She'd probably be an elderly Asian lady. Kindly, now that's going to be important to me. And I think her role would be to welcome in each character, kind of school them in the
I feel like you're
parameters.
really using this idea of the kindly Asian lady as something of a crutch.
Not a crutch,
Because
no. It's just...
your kind of creative juices aren't really flowing. You're just kind of relying on that one, I'm going to say, trope in order
Is
to...
it unbelievable to you that I could come up with 3 different exceptional Oscar-winning parts for an older Asian actress?
Yes.
Wow. That
Because you
speaks to
haven't.
your privilege.
Because one of them got murdered by a dog man.
Yeah,
One
that's
of
a
them,
very heroic death.
One of them fed live fish to a dentist and helped him shit into the sea, and the other one
It hasn't been done before.
And the other one is curating, is
museum
lording
puppet
an
fucking-
absolute orgy of disgust,
But I think
of
that's what
aberrance.
I think that's what would be interesting about this character is that she's there, seemingly in a kind of there's a trope in murder mysteries.
And I don't want, I'm not saying that they've got to be white, but they've got to be this old Asian lady. That's what you're telling me.
I think there's something
Because
she
if you
could
do,
bring.
she's banned from the next 3
Are you joking?
for your own good.
Okay, well in this one it's an old white man called Gorge
Spelt,
G
yeah,
J. That's it.
Gorge,
Yep.
and he is
He's the elderly
haunted.
hotelier. And the
horny.
implication is, in And Then There Were None, or basically any of those strangers summoned to a location,
Yeah.
some unknown connection. There's always a kind of fall boy. That's not really the word, is it? A fall guy. There's someone who is there, seemingly in control of the situation, but then in like the end of Act 2 is like, oh no, the end of Act 1 probably is like, oh, I've never met Mr. A.N. Murderer either. He just hired me. I'm just a lowly butler. And 80% of the time that's true. 20% of the time he is faking.
He's faking that.
Because he is the murderer.
Yeah.
I like the idea of our hotelier himself, although seeming to ordain the puppet fucking, he himself has been summoned there. That's his story. And so maybe if the idea of this is that to escape this kind of endless narrative of interspecies, interfantastic lust, and progeneration, perhaps even he has to break out, and that will be the hardest because he so far has been a kind of comfortable bystander, probably getting off on it, and that's why it's important to me that this was always a man, and that I've made that clear, I think, throughout.
Yeah.
Because he'll be hard for, for all of them.
All of it.
The three little pigs,
Everything.
especially.
Yeah.
Representing as they do.
I was sure you were going to say that.
Yeah, well,
mischief, but also
yeah,
the innocence of youth.
and being pink. Now people love that, don't they? They love a pink pig.
They can't get enough of it.
So yeah, I think that's a good film.
That is good.
I personally won't be involved in that one after kind of this pre-production.
That's
period.
fine. We could pop your name on it anyway because you were so important.
No, there's
in
no
this
need.
process, right?
I'm happy to just
surely
give-
settled your names on the contract.
The next film I'd love us to look at is Mary Poppins, the Lovely Nanny.
And what genre, like Mary Poppins? I know.
If we were to
sing a
reimagine
song.
it.
Yeah,
Possession. I mean, this one's just very easy, isn't it?
yeah. Well, I mean, go for it.
Well, either
Shoot your shot.
the two angles are either Mary Poppins is the devil and is coming to just save the Banks family by like saving their souls for the Dark Lord, or Mary Poppins herself is fighting this like eternal battle against Dick Van Dyke's chimney sweep, quote unquote, sent up from hell to dive down the throats of young children.
You've gone
Spiritually
You've
speaking.
gone in for this diving down the
Spiritually
throat
speaking.
angle again.
Sorry, I'm still thinking out loud
Okay.
an email. I'm just stating
Yeah.
some of those ideas.
So I like them both. I think either way, there should definitely, I mean, as there already is,
Yeah.
a kind of like side by side parallel to the fact that Mr. Banks is possessed by capitalism.
Yeah, that's nice.
And the spirit of that. But then also, you know, we see lots of these different possessions. Mrs. Banks, she's possessed by the idea of women's lib,
yeah, those mad old sailors next
by
door.
the military, and
Or
by the
mental
sea.
illness, I was going to say.
They're possessed by the spectre of mental illness.
No spectre, just straight up.
Oh, I see.
The old lady, the bird lady, possessed by poverty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a way, aren't we all possessed by something? And that can be the kind of message that we get across.
And so is
in
it
a,
so-
in a
is it a-
song that I'm writing for Act 3 called "In a Way," aren't we all possessed by something?
And
That
is
Julie will sing.
so? Is it a pro-possession film?
It's not pro, it's not anti. It's just saying these are the facts. Take it or leave it.
Them's the fact. That's the case.
What
So,
can we do about
so
it?
perhaps Poppins isn't a force for good.
I don't think she's ever a force for good, even in the original film.
No?
She's kind of she kills a fleet of nannies in a conjured storm.
Right, but she does help that one family, and those nannies
For who's good?
they were on death's door.
No, some
Almost
of them very
literally.
healthy. Some of them were honestly fine specimens who would have gone on to great things. No, Mary Poppins has always been a problematic figure. She's vain. She commits the ultimate sin for me of comparing herself to the Almighty, saying that she's practically perfect. Obviously, only Jesus, God, can be perfect. And
Yeah, well, she's
the
not
fact-
saying that she is.
But that's what Lucifer did. Said, well, look, I'm basically as good. And God's like, are you fuck? Piss off to hell.
Now
So-
that for me says more about God than it does Satan,
No, wrong. No, wrong.
because he's pretty like fragile, isn't he?
No, he's not. He just needs you to know the truth. There's no point coming to God saying, I'm better than you.
Didn't feel like there was a lot of chance given there though, was it? It was like, oh, you're out.
Honestly,
you're
this
out.
feels-
You're out forever. Not
You
only are you
weren't
out,
there. He was
you're
being such a
literally
prick.
the incarnation of evil now.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, hang on.
Well, he brought that on himself, though, didn't he?
Right, so is she Satan? But she's not even. She's
No,
not,
I think
she's
what
not a
Mary,
malevolent
Yeah,
figure.
I think what Mary gets off on is,
or a malicious figure, I should say. She is.
you know,
malevolent.
in butchery, there's this idea of tenderizing the meat through like swacking it around with a hammer.
Yeah.
I think she does that for the soul. So she gets in close with the family, gets in deep, and she'll be kind of massaging the sinewy
Children.
muscles of children and adult alike. And even the old lady who has a very funny line about something to do with the cupboard. who you'll recall. And even Edwin on the ceiling. She'll be in there just long-fingered, kind of getting in those knots, massaging them,
Look, I don't think we
lubing
need
them
to
up for
shy.
Satan.
I don't think we need to shy away from this. I think like Mary Poppins has always been a powerful sexual force in the world,
Right,
but in a
okay.
kind of like in that very austere way.
Well, that's how it was in the day, isn't it?
And I'm thinking that certainly for the adult men
Yeah.
in the film, that it's a case of she's giving them a totally silent
Mm-hmm.
and emotionless hand job.
Okay.
They're otherwise fully clothed.
Yes.
She's just staring them in the eyes.
Yes, and what if she could somehow, through the power of presumably a kind of unholy force,
What
in the
goes
in-
without saying?
during this hand job that she'll be giving them, what if she's like siphoning out their energy and spirit?
Well, yeah.
To the point that like the more she jacks and jerks will be the kind
Mm-hmm.
of, and maybe we have two characters like little street urchins,
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
all right, Jacks, and they can like represent that idea.
She's singing that "Stay away,
Try and keep it up for
you
24.
old bastard."
Yeah. And the more it's happening, you know, the end of whichever Indiana Jones it is, where they're Nazis. Is that all of them, actually? I think it might be.
Probably.
Where the guy goes through a very quick aging and then he's a skeleton. I want a kind of slow version of that, like they're just aging.
They're like withered husks by
like,
the end.
And by the end, like she's spilled their seed.
Well,
which,
obviously.
and God hates that.
He's
'cause
not.
Mary's not married
There's
to
a
these
lot.
guys.
No,
So it speaks
she's
for
not.
itself.
But she needn't be.
And then I don't know, maybe she just turns him into ash.
Yeah, well, that's because Bert's sheets are down, and so
that's why.
so like
That's what the scent is.
Winifred comes down, and Mary's standing there, hand perhaps still
Yeah.
clasped over something phallic, but there's nothing there.
No.
There's just a pile of ash. And she's like, "Oh, where's
And
George?"
the camera cuts in on Mary's hand and she turns it over and opens it, and it's just like she just lets all this like
Grains of ash.
grey ash
She's like,
drop to the floor. Where indeed, Winifred? Where indeed?
Get over here.
In every job that must be done, there is an element
No,
of
and she makes
fun.
the kids
Yeah.
clean up their dad's
Yeah.
ash
That's bad,
and
isn't it?
seed.
That's really bad.
Oh God!
You can go to prison for that, and should.
You've always been a strong proponent of that.
one of my big
and because
stances.
just because a crime isn't common doesn't mean that it should be any less
Absolutely.
enshrined in law
Full
that you'd be
force of
punished
the
by.
law.
Who's your new character for this film?
Well, I think it's just Satan. I think he'd have a kind of Greek chorus role.
And he's actually there, he's on screen.
Possibly it's a kind of split personality thing with Mary, where, you know, the mirror version of herself, which canonically is not her, because lest we forget, it acts freely relative to what she's doing. Stays in
can't
the mirror
forget.
and sings along. What if that is Satan's way of watching and she's his... What's the name of that woman that Satan really likes?
Eve.
No, like even more than that. It's something like Lucinda or something sort of ghosty. Wish I could remember. It was in Sabrina, the series. If you
No, I don't.
Okay, well, it's very good. That could be Satan's portal into the world, is through these mirrors, and that's where he's giving advice. It would give Julie Andrews, who will be in it, playing her, you know, at the age she is now. It would give her a kind of Gollum-like role to play with, a bit like
Right, I
Will
see.
Smith in Gemini Man. You'll remember.
Well, one of the classics.
Where it's like camera work, and she's cutting between these personalities of pure joy and lust, and then total kind of silent hatred for mankind, and lest we forget, God on high.
I love it.
I do
Satanic
too.
Mirror Poppins.
I do too.
We'll do one more.
Let's do one more. I'm ready for it.
Here we go.
Yellow
Final.
Cup. Okay, I've got two. I'm picking that one. It is Inside Out. What a film! What? It's one of my favourite movies.
Yeah.
You know that. What? You keep
Just
shaking
say
the
it
cup.
properly.
It's one of my. It's what? Okay, it is one of my favourite movies.
fucking hell.
Sorry, grammar Nazi. But what if Inside
That is
Out
one
were a slasher?
Oh, now I like this.
Yeah. What if?
What if it were a slasher?
If we think of the emotions that Riley has in her little head, she's got joy, she's got melancholy, she's got disgust, is sadness, not melancholy, and she's got, what's the other one? Anger or nervousness or something.
Yeah, anger, anxiety.
The one that she doesn't have is
murder.
bloodlust, and that's the simple new character for me. Is the addition of of the Bloodlust character, who do we get to voice something like that?
Well, don't worry about that.
Kate
for now.
Blanchett, I think.
Maybe something like that. Is that the vibe you're thinking?
Yeah,
of?
I'm thinking
It's a
like-
woman.
It's definitely a woman, yeah.
Bloodlust.
Possibly Asian.
Bloodlust the woman.
A kind of elderly
Bloodlust the woman. What colour? Now that's important because red's
bloodlust.
already taken.
Yeah, red is taken. I think people report like blanking out when they do these great crimes. So I think just fully, not even black, kind of like nothing. Like that when you know
It's
when
an
you're doing
invisible
like,
character.
no. Sorry,
Unanimated.
let me clarify. You know when you're doing like you're shooting a dialogue scene, we'll have a camera over my shoulder, a camera
Yeah.
over yours. It will cut to, well, either way, it could be looking at me when I'm talking, hey Declan, what's going on? And then cuts to you. When it cuts to the other character, the screen's just black. So there's nothing on screen. And the character cannot be in any other scenes with other people because otherwise characters such as joy and sadness, they themselves will become murderous of intent.
I like it.
Yeah, it will be good for sure. So Riley, let's just remind ourselves, she's a little girl. She's what, 11 or something, and she's just moved to San Francisco, a city where there is a lot of homeless population. There are more homeless people in San Francisco than in England and Scotland combined, as far as I recall.
Tragic.
Really bad, really egregious as well, as I recall.
Well, but it's a very poor area. There's not a lot.
Yeah,
of
the
money
Bay Area,
there.
there's not a lot going on. It's called Silicon Valley, and that's not because of tech. That's just because that's all that's left. Is just
Famously the cheapest
Yeah,
material to
one of
make a
the
valley
cheapest.
out of.
But what I'm getting at is that often you'll find with serial killers, they've practiced on animals, yes, but then they
on
look
to
for
the homeless,
targets
don't they?
that are not quote unquote gonna be missed.
Yeah.
And that's usually
not real.
people
No
from
real people involved.
outsiders. Yeah, and there's something about homelessness. You might recognise this from our own country where we live that often inspires in some people total and hateful contempt. Where they're like, you're not a person because you don't have a house or money, and so it's fine to kick you to death, or set fire to people. Happens quite a lot,
And even
or
among
burn
those,
money in front of them.
and even among those who don't go so far as that,
Yeah.
who have no active hatred for them, it inspires such an egregious apathy towards them, as if they are naught but a feature of the street itself.
Slashers have never, or well, not never, but have rarely been political, and I think that's something that's kind of missed, other than the kind of 1980s introspective statement when slashers were in their heyday of like the American fear of its own suburban self, like turning in and eating itself. There's never been like a slasher with a particular cause, as far as I'm aware. Like, what does Freddy Krueger really want? He's angry that
wants to fuck kids.
Well, yeah, he's angry that they stopped him noncing and burnt him to death. So he's punishing them through their children. What does Michael Myers want? Fuck knows, honestly.
He
sees his
doesn't
sister
he want to fuck
topless
his
once.
sister?
No, I don't think so. Not really. He kills her. That's not the same.
Yeah, but
is it?
wasn't she about to fuck someone else?
No, that's afterwards. I mean, it could be a like Madonna whore thing, whereas like, but that would suggest that was the first time his sister ever fucked anyone.
And it definitely
No, I
was.
don't
And we've
think-
all seen that
yeah.
film.
Don't think so. I think, yeah, traditionally a good slasher is like a real blank slate onto which we can project our own insecurities and fears. And that's what's scary about Myers in particular. Nothing will stop him because you can't reason with him. There's nothing. It's like the Joker as a character. Like, he does not care. There's nothing. You can't speak to him on any level.
You have nothing to hurt me with.
And so if Riley were to become this serial killer based on, I don't know what's going to happen in the kind of mental space, how we can show that Bloodlust is winning out, or why Bloodlust has even been invited to this party with 4 otherwise quite normal emotions. What it is about Riley, is it nature or nurture? Is it the move? Is it the tension in her marriage? Not her marriage, her parents' marriage. Is it something that happens at school? Because remember that bit where she cries? That'll turn you into a murdering incel, as we know.
So she's a murderer.
Yeah.
She's the slasher.
Yeah, and I think the idea that we'd kind of implicitly be stating is that people are not their actions. It's like the defective brain which is to blame for this. In the same way that, because like the mental space in Inside Out is very fully realised. It's not metaphorical. It's never implied that this is just like a fun way of talking about it. In movie, these are literally, if joy is winning, she's happy. If sadness is winning, she's sad.
So what if like the tragedy of this film is that she's a strong and heroic political voice. She's not practicing on the homeless. She's actually targeting those who are the root cause of homelessness.
Okay.
But the tragedy is that alongside, in order for this to take place, she has to be unfeeling.
Yeah.
And so inside her head, Bloodlust, the woman,
there's a
is
symmetrical massacre.
killing off
That's
the
nice.
other emotions.
And fuck, there'd be some amazing chase scenes through that mental space, wouldn't there? Because it's like a theme.
And imagine a like chase, because remember that Bloodlust, the woman, is just black screen of like the horror of like running away, and then it just cuts
you
to
wouldn't
black,
even know
cuts to
how-
black, and
if
you
you were
can
out
hear,
running her,
and you can hear, and then like running away, and it cuts to black, and it's just those two intercutting quicker
really
and quicker.
One thing that I also like in Inside Out is the final message about how like emotion or life is not singular in terms of I'm happy now, I'm sad now. If you're depressed, you're just only sad. If you're ecstatic, you're only happy. The idea that you have to like meld emotions to have a fully realized three-dimensional existence. I wonder if maybe the final showdown, Joy is going to be our final girl, clearly. She's got final girl potential in terms of the massacre.
I don't know if I agree.
Well, sadness as well could be. And
I
in
think-
fact, either way you go with this, the idea that Bloodlust combines with one of these to create something new, either a killer who is totally like just loving it, or a killer who every slash is tinged with regret. Either of these is going to be an interesting mode to play out in our real world and see how Riley the girl reacts to this fusion of emotional states.
Maybe the final the final moment of this, there's Riley like hand raised,
Yeah.
knife gripped,
Above?
ready. Oh yeah,
Above who though?
but this is it. There's like two choices here, and it's like either someone relatively innocent,
Yeah.
or someone relatively guilty, and we don't know which one she's going to go for. And then back inside her head, there's bloodlust, and then there's joy and there's sadness with their backs against the wall, and we don't know which one she's going to kill and which one she's then going to meld with. And at the same time, we see the knife drop from Riley, and we never see who it hits. And in the other scene, we just hear both joy and sadness scream.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the credits. They start rolling, but the background for the credits is black, tinged ever so slightly with the colour of whichever one she's melded with,
And it will change in every viewing.
so that we can
Because we'll
get,
just
so we
put it
can
in
start a
cellophane.
war.
Yeah, a sort of a race
Like,
war. I
yeah,
suppose.
like team sadness,
Yeah.
team joy.
One thing that I really like as well, and this doesn't really further the plot.
Just to remember as well, so like Bloodlust, the woman is your new character, yeah. So and there, do you think that we're supposed to empathise with them?
I think so, yeah, because there's a fundamental kind of insanity to modern existence where people get enraged so quickly because we're constantly kind of repressing what it means to be our true selves. Our animal instinct is just stripped away by going on the tube, standing knee deep in other people's armpits and stuff, and trying to fit the wild human into the very narrow expression of office life. So I think there's something fundamentally sympathetic about the idea of just like breaking out from convention. That said, of course, there's got to be a limit to that, and how far we want to take the audience with us. Maybe Bloodlust should be seen as like, it's an essential thing to have in some sense because it's Riley's final defense mechanism. It's maybe we rename her from Bloodlust to like fight, so it's like a fight or flight thing.
Fight
Or
the
like
woman.
self-defense.
Fight
the woman.
fight, smash the woman.
One thing that I wanted to mention is a scene, and perhaps we can just end on this because I don't know how it would work. There's this amazing bit in Inside Out where they go into the kind of pre-cognitive space where like geometry doesn't quite exist, and like the longer they're in there, the more they sort of like devolve into
Yeah.
sort of Picasso-esque. I want that to be part of the interior plan, that joy and sadness, they realise that you cannot defeat bloodlust or fight
In
whatever
that
in normal
atmosphere,
combat.
no.
So they're going to have to lure bloodlust in to that pre-space wherein, yes, they'll be able to defeat her in some way or trap her, but they will be there as well. Maybe that's why the melding happens, because they're like all just components.
See, I think that that's a kind of end of Act 2 moment where actually they think that's their best chance, but what they forget is that like fight, bloodlust, anger. That's like perhaps the basest instinct. It's not a nuanced emotion like they are. And therefore it thrives in that kind of precognitive space. And they think, oh, we'll lure her in, we'll make her weaker. But when they get in there, she's just unaffected. And it's like in the original, like they're slowly devolving and they're struggling to get to the other side. And they're like, oh no, she's too powerful. Fight the woman, fight the woman. And I think that actually it's maybe somewhere more structured where they realise that they can meld, but importantly, only the one.
Only the one can, yeah. And we'll explain why. There'll be a good plot reason for that.
There would be a fantastic plot reason for that.
You can take our word for that. Well, there we have it. We've. Oh, sorry. What's up? What's lacking?
No, it's not quite. I know it's a lot, but we're not quite done.
Oh, right. What's left?
Well, you see, it's just the one thing that I've always. You know me. I love the cups.
Yeah.
I invented the cups.
Well, you invented this use.
I invented the cups, and I love them. I think they suit our process very well. That kind of organised chaos. But whilst there is the chaos of picking random elements from the cup, I feel like afterwards, we're both men of words.
Yeah.
We've got too much creative control once the cat's out the bag, once the paper's out the cup. And really, we can meld some of the more difficult elements to fit what we'd like them to mean. And that, in a sense,
I don't know where you're going with this.
in a sense, that's cheating.
Right.
And it's not, and there's, because we have the final say on where things end.
Well, it's our podcast.
Yeah, but I don't know that it should be.
It shouldn't be our podcast.
I think that there should be some element of it that's out of our control.
Right.
And I think that element is what we call fate.
Okay.
And that's why all along, without you knowing,
right,
there's been a third cup.
No.
The spookiest.
I can't see it anywhere.
The spookiest cup of all.
Where is it?
I've been hiding right here under the sofa.
Oh no!
All this time.
Declan's now leant under the sofa to reveal is that the pink or the orange?
It's the orange.
Oh, that's the pumpkin colour.
Exactly, the spookiest of all. Now,
oh no!
now you'll notice that the one thing that I made sure that you had to do, and I've kept a little note here, is you had to invent a new character for each film.
Yeah, I noticed.
But at no point did I ever press you to see who are we going to cast? Who are we going to cast as these new characters? And that is what the cup here is going to decide for us.
We don't get a choice.
No.
It's just draw it, and the first one.
The first one is it. And so playing the two-dimensional Asian lady who lives next door and gets murdered in Marley and Me, the psychodrama, who's that going to be?
It's going to be Alan Rickman.
Oh,
wow.
Goodness.
And he's dead.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well,
you can't be cancelled, at least.
No,
for Scarlett Johanssoning his way through that.
You've been cancelled in the most ultimate sense already.
By the Lord.
Now playing the not dissimilar, but not the same.
No, honestly, very,
importantly,
very dissimilar.
Two-dimensional Asian lady from Finding Nemo the Body Horror.
Yeah,
I've written 2D Asian lady helps dentist shit out fish.
Yeah, that's a mischaracterization, but
here,
it's kind of a simplistic vision.
It's not incorrect.
It's not incorrect.
Who's going to be?
That's going to be Aziz Ansari. Now that's an interesting choice.
That is.
Is it going to be a drag character then?
I think if he's involved,
then it must.
Yes, in the most offensive way imaginable.
Oh, of course it will be offensive. With
but that happened after we lost creative control over rights.
We sold the rights to Fox
to pay Regina the rent, the extra rent because of the new laws.
Who's next?
Well, we've got Gorge, the haunted, horny hotelier.
This is a great
from
role.
Shrek.
May I say, if this actor can't come through, I would offer myself for this one.
Yeah,
it's Louis C.K. He can do it.
he's available.
Perfect. For the role. He's actually cleared out 5 years of his schedule.
He actually has been fucking method acting
somewhere in the world. Louis C.K. just sat up and sniffed the air, sensing that the perfect role.
The three little pigs were waiting for him. Right. Now we've got two more. We've got next the Satanic Mirror Poppins.
This is a good role.
Now this is mostly a voice role, but I think we could get some kind of like deep fakes style tech where it's a melding of them and Julie Andrews in the mirror.
Yeah, there's some, I can't think which horror film it is, where the face goes to and from what it actually is, and I think we could have moments of that, like flashes of reality. and unreality.
Who's playing this role?
Playing the
Isaac?
Demon Mary, it's Brendan Gleeson.
Oh,
That would be
and dare I
really
say it,
good.
a role he was born to play.
And just thinking of the transition between Julie Andrews' face and Brendan's, there's all kinds of motion there, isn't there?
Oh, there's loads.
That'd be really good.
Now, there's 2 left.
Okay.
Either way, I think it's going to be a powerful role.
Okay, what's the role? Remind us.
It's Fight the Woman.
Fight the Woman. Yeah.
Fight the Woman.
So this is an entirely vocal role.
This is an entirely vocal presence, yeah.
Or there could be one key moment where they are just, whoever this is.
Maybe in that precognitive
Yeah,
space is the only time you
yeah.
can see they become more fully realised.
They turn into a sort of like...
We're very good,
God figure.
it should be said.
This is going to be played by Dame Helen Mirren. And that honestly is perfect casting.
Yeah, that is
She
very,
would
very
be
good.
fucking terrifying.
Haunting. Do you know what? The only other one in the cup would have been, I dare say it perhaps better,
Oh, who is it?
which is Viola Davis.
Ooh.
as
Imagine
Fight
her
the
doing like
Woman.
a completely flat delivery of everything where it's just like dripping with
And then
pregnant fury.
in the like precognitive space,
She could go
she's got a little
fucking-
like tear, that very good crying that she does. On
She's the
screen
best at
sometimes.
crying on camera.
Yeah.
God in heaven, why hast thou abandoned us to the fate of these 5 movies? That's what we say here, and that's a shame. We've provided you, the listener, with hours and hours of free spooky content this month. No need to thank us, but if you chose to, patreon.com/shamecity is the place to do that. I have it on good information that we're but a few weeks away from a new task promotion where we'll be chucking those stickers back up for new subscribers.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And pins.
Importantly as well,
And-
like before you make your decision not to give, because I listen to things.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they ask you to give. I know the feeling. You
Yeah.
don't want to.
No one
Before
wants
you make the decision not to, remember as well that not only will there be a couple of new quickfires out before the month is out,
Yeah.
but that also on Thursday the 31st of October, we will
Halloween.
be releasing our annual Spooktacular.
And that you've got to be there for that.
It's going to be one hell of a show.
And
It's going to be the
this
most
year-
Spooktacular yet.
Just because like funds are getting low, we'll only be releasing Declan's half of it for free, and then to get the good jokes, you have to subscribe at the $25 level.
Oh, goodness. There's no need for such a spooky jab as that.
No, it wasn't a jab. That's just like you're the kind of straight man, and then I just like wheedle in there with a little knock
But
out
there's
the
no
park.
need to do that because no one likes the straight man.
I suppose not. Yeah. Oh well. All's fair in love and war. I had something to say, and God, it was going to be good, but it's completely lost me.
Has it?
So I guess what I will say instead is that Halloween is around the corner now. I know we've been saying that for a month, but if you're not kicking it into gear, Halloween is a great reminder for me and for all of us that seasons, days, events, life is what we make it. The more you put in, the more you'll get out. The more you'll put out as well, in my experience. And what I mean by that is that, sure, we're adults now. We're not going trick-or-treating unless we want to get an Asbo. We're not, going to these like dress up as a cat parties as much as we used to. But Halloween is still there for the picking. And you've got to get out there, whether it's going up to San Francisco to slash yourself silly or finding the nearest Asian chef and seeing if you can't help her dissect a couple of fish gizzards to shove down the throat of a dentist. It's all up for there. It's all up for taking. And it's up to you to make Halloween 2019 one hell of a spooky season. Until episode 160, I've been Isaac. You've been.
I've been Declan.
See you on the Spooktacular, boys.
You're going to eat all this paper.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Necessities, the bare necessities, the bare necessities of life will come to you.